The reality, there's only one reality, of course. There's only one existence, of course. Your own existence. What you experience is the existence. And without an experience per se, or an experiencer, that existence is ever existing. In other words, that's all there is, and it has no beginning. It just is. Your existence is. Always has been, always will be. Even without any concepts of time or space, you exist. Ramana Maharshi, the great modern sage, has said that this existence is silent. And the perfect teaching is simply this existence, or this silence, or this reality. And he, not the body he, but anyone who teaches is exactly and only that existence. And anyone who listens is exactly and only that pure reality or existence. And there's no teacher and no student. There's just this pure existence. Or being, consciousness. These words get battered around. They're simply tools for you to look and find it within yourself. These words like silence, being, reality, they only seem elusive when you think you are somebody. This enlightenment thing only seems difficult or far away when you're taking yourself to be something or someone. If you're taking a position, there's no way you can grasp it. The existence seems like some wonderful thing set aside for special beings that somehow get it, and it just seems difficult, elusive, and far away. And yet, whose existence are we talking about? We're talking about your own reality, your own existence, not someone else's, not some great sage's, nothing that can be taught in scriptures is who you are. Who you are is simply who you are, your reality. So many sages tell you you must find it for yourself. In and as your own being. Silence is that state in which there is no I. There is no separate self. There is only being, with nothing arising or falling within it. There's no parts in it. There's no creatures in it. There's no worlds in it. How could there be something in the one non-dual perfect reality? So if you're standing as a part of this whole, then the truth is going to seem incomprehensible. And so our whole purpose here is simply to look directly at where we stand or who we're taking ourselves to be. Because any stance whatsoever is that I, and is a position, and inherently creates a wall around itself and a duality and suffering. There's no need for even an iota of suffering, because the reality is perfect, formless, and it's inherently peaceful, utterly. We call it blissful. There's no concept of suffering. But there is this existence. In the Bible it says, "Be still and know that I am God." And Maharshi says, all you have to do is be still. In other words, stop creating yourself. And from that little self that we create, where it seems like we create, comes all this stuff. First there's an I, and then there's a this, or that, or a world, or an environment. Things happening, things going on, and the whole dream of I and its goings on. And as long as you're caught up in that, your own world, your own thoughts, and taking it all to be real, you're not being still. And it's very difficult to understand the truth when you're engaged in pursuing happiness in this self-created, illusory world. So the Bible says it almost every religion has a contemplative form to it, where it's recognized that being still is extremely beneficial. Well, the stillness has a really profound meaning, because it ends up being the existence itself, or yourself. Without an identity, there is this reality, this peace, this stillness, and this bliss. Where is this reality? Well, it's exactly where you are, exactly where you really are. And if it's not perfectly obvious, then we need to look at what we're taking ourselves to be, or who am I? And even if you're taking yourself to be somebody, it's still best to look at yourself. The reality is not somewhere else. The truth is not somewhere else, and no one can give it to you. But you can know it deeply within yourself. So look to this eye. But very simply, keep your attention on yourself. In this false self that you're taking yourself to be, may seem like a form, may seem like a body, may seem like something. It's going to seem like a whole heck of a lot of things until you get down to the essential thing. It's actually the source of all. Certainly the source of all the stuff that you see, but also the source of what you're taking yourself to be. Commonly called an ego. It's simply a misidentification. Taking yourself to be something. How could you be a something? How could you be a form? Think about that. It's not even logical. Any form is an object. Any form, including the human body mind, is an object within your attention. You're aware of it. You couldn't possibly be it. You can't be anything you're aware of. It's basic logic. This teaching is extremely logical. And so, you just need to look clearly what's real. What is real for me? One of the basic tenets of Advaita Vedanta is, and this makes clear sense, if it's real, it should always be real. So the very simple way to find this reality is to look within your own experience and simply and clearly discern what's always the case. If you just do that one thing, you'll dissolve all illusion. Because what real never ever comes and goes. It's always there. And so this is why I say it's unborn. The truth has never had a beginning point. And if you look to your own experience, you'll know for sure you didn't have a beginning. There was no point when you have not been. And all you really know is your own existence. So find out for sure what this is, and you'll be finding out this perfect God or Brahman or whatever you want to call it that all the great scriptures and religions speak of. But you're not going to be finding that out as an object or something that you get or acquire. You know it as yourself. With not an iota of doubt. There's no way there could be any doubt about this thing. Because it's equal to your own existence. I am that. If that is this divine reality, and I is your own existence, somehow, by whatever means necessary, you've got to bridge the gap. The absolute clearest and most direct method. Well, just look at it this way. If you were going to try to find out about something, anything, you want to get to the essence of that thing. What's the lowest common denominator that makes that thing real? If you want to find out about yourself, why you're here, what this thing called life is all about, you've got to look to the essence, or what makes the whole thing real. What's giving all this apparent stuff its reality? Who or what says it's real? Look to that one. Look to the source. Can you see how the source of it all is yourself? There is no world unless you're there to say it is. This whole thing rests on you. Who is that you? Who am I? Now you might say, and people say as an argument, come on, this whole thing doesn't rest on me. There's all this history. And then I popped in. But there isn't all this history. You're the one that says there's all this history. Just like a dream. Just like a dream. There may seem to be dream history, dream world. Everything seems in place and according to rules. And there's history books. There's the news. But all that stuff is occurring to someone, okay? Who am I? Is the only question you need. The real true source of yourself is changeless. It's ever existing, always as it is. Changeless. What is changeless in yourself? Eternal. What is always there in yourself? Nisargadatta said, don't look for the changeless in the changeful. You can't find this truth in the dream. And waiting till you are more spiritual or waiting for anything whatsoever doesn't work. Look to your existence exactly where you are now. I'll read something from Nomi. The state of the non-emergence of I is the state of our being that, capital T. How can you be in a state in which the I does not emerge? How can you make yourself cease to be? How can you make the I cease? You cannot cause your own existence to cease, and you cannot really get away from yourself. How can you cause the I not to emerge? If you focus upon your own being, not on sensations and thoughts, but on your own being, you will recognize that there is a continuous reality of being. You won't be able to find this being as a form or an object. That's why it's so tricky for people. It is indivisible, formless, and homogeneous. This undeniable reality of being from which you cannot part exists. There is also this sense of I, which rises and falls, appears and disappears. Your I-ishness isn't always there. It's not always there, even there for 24 hours. In deep dreamless sleep, you don't have this ego I, and yet you still exist. Find out what this I is, this me, this somebody that I take myself to be, just part of the time. It comes and goes, rises and falls, appears and disappears. So you got to get really smart and really honest with yourself about who you are. Check out this feeling or sense of I. There is the reality of being and there is the I, yet you are not two. There are not two selves. There is not really a true self and a false self. The false self is no self at all. This thing that rises and falls, that seems to be an I, does not really exist in truth. But I can't tell you that. You have to find it for yourself. That's the thing about ego death. It's not the death of anything real. It's the death of something that never existed. And how can that be a death at all? Illusion really is illusion. What you perceive by human senses is illusion. Don't take my word for it, certainly. But find out in yourself if it's real.